Now that we've formatted our picklist values with lozenges, let's take things a step further by introducing if statements. If statements let us conditionally change how data is displayed based on its value. This allows us to make key information stand out, helping users quickly interpret data without having to read every column and every row. In this lesson, we'll start with a simple example to see how if statements work. Then we'll apply them to our condition and remedial action columns to highlight important states with different lozenge colors. So let's jump in. For example, let's say we want to create a simple custom column that outputs the word green if the equipment type is set to helmet, and blue for any other values such as gloves or safety harness. Here's how that would look. Now let's break this down step by step. First, let's talk about the if statement syntax. It starts with curly brace percentage, the word if, and then percentage, then curly brace. And to end our if statement, we use curly brace percentage, the word end if, all as one word, then percentage curly brace. But we also need to add criteria to our if statement. So for our example, inside the opening if tag, we want to check if our field equipment type equals helmet. So we use two equal signs to perform the comparison. It's important to note that you need to use double equal signs, otherwise your column template will error. We wrap the word helmet using quotes, due to it being text. However, if we were checking a numeric value, we wouldn't use quotes. It's worth pointing out you can use a range of operators as well, such as not equals to, greater than, less than, etc. The else block will be used by the system if the equipment type is not helmet, and would output blue instead. You will also note when we are forming the criteria in the if statement, we don't wrap the field name of equipment type in double curly braces. This is because double curly braces output the field value into the column, however, we are only using it in our criteria. The system knows the fact we're referencing a field in the criteria because the criteria is wrapped with our curly brace percentage inside the initial if block. So that's why we write this instead of this. However, when we need to display a value inside the column, we do use curly braces like this. This example outputs the created date if the equipment type is helmet, otherwise it outputs the equipment type. Now that we understand how if statements work, let's apply them to something more useful, our condition and remedial action lozenge columns. Right now, our lozenges help values stand out, which is great. But we want to go a step further and conditionally change their colors so that certain values like damage stand out more. For example, if a piece of equipment is damaged, that should be more prominent than one in a good condition. Likewise, if remedial action requires a repair or replacement, it should stand out more than when no action is required. This is where if statements take things to the next level. Let's enhance the condition column template piece by piece. First, let's wrap our condition field inside an if statement. Now, we'll display a lozenge with a red color when the condition is damaged. You can find all the color options for lozenges on the Breeze UI design system website, so I'll leave a link below for you to have a look further. When the condition is good, we'll use a green lozenge, and for worn, we'll use an orange lozenge. You'll notice that each time we add a new condition that needs to be checked, it starts with elif, which simply stands for else if. So if you convert that to spoken English, it's like saying, if the condition field is set to damaged, I'd like it to be a red lozenge. Else if the field is set to good, I'd like a green lozenge. Else if it was set to worn, I'd like it to be set to orange. And we can just keep adding elif statements to check even more conditions if we needed to. Finally, if the condition field has any other value, we'll just output it as plain text for now. But given it's a pick list with predefined values, that should almost never happen. However, we do need to follow the syntax for an if statement. Given we have 3 values in our pick list, you might be wondering why we just didn't put the final criteria after the else block. And whilst that's perfectly okay to do, I prefer to do it this way just in case a new value might be added in the future. It will display on the list view versus a blank column. And that's the full template built out with color conditionality using an if statement. With this update, users can immediately spot damaged equipment in the list view. Now, let's apply the same approach to the remedial action column. We'll start with the if statement. If the field is set to replace, we'll use a green border style lozenge, Note we're changing the theme property from solid to border, which will change how the lozenge looks on screen. Again, all these details are on the Breeze UI design system website, so you can just choose the best option for your use case. If it's set to repair, we'll use cyan, and for none, we will display a dash, symbolizing there is nothing relevant to display given there is no remedial action required. You could of course choose to output something like no action required too. Finally, if there's any other value, we'll just display it as plain text. It's important to understand that conditional formatting only affects the way data is displayed, it doesn't change the data itself. For example, the condition column stores damaged, good, or worn, we're just changing the color used to display it. Likewise, the remedial action column still stores replace, repair, or none, we're just adding additional formatting. And for these fields, filters remain the same. If you filter for damaged, it still works no matter what color we've applied. However, if we create a new column like our test column from earlier on that outputs green or blue, that's just a display change. It doesn't actually exist in the data model and therefore wouldn't be filterable. By applying if statements, we've taken list view formatting to the next level, allowing us to highlight critical values using color. Now, important conditions stand out instantly, helping users scan the list view at a glance instead of reading each row. This is a small change that makes a big difference in usability, making this use more intuitive, efficient, and user-friendly. If statements give us full control over how data appears in Skedulo list views, and as we continue through the course, you'll see even more ways to customize and enhance list views further. We'll see you in the next lesson.